What's up, graysonreport? I accidentally hit that last clip, but that's all right. It don't matter. How's everyone doing? Happy Monday. What's up? Tammy, D-Nice, Gunner Girl. Congrats again, Gunner Girl. On your first grandbaby. Wendy, what's up? And Wendy, thank you for that super sticker. And it's a corgi. Hearts for Wendy. Thank you, Wendy, for the support. You're awesome. Tyrana, what's up? NJS55, how's it going? Chris, Barber, Marcella, how's it going? Daniel, what's up? How's everyone doing? Happy Monday. How is your Monday going, I should say? And I kind of just gave something away. All right, guys, that's a little better. The camera was like kind of all. How's everyone's Monday? Did anyone do anything interesting this weekend? I went to Skyline Festival in Los Angeles. I had a blast. I am super pooped today, but hey, why not? it made me tired, but I had a blast. Julissa, what's up? I'm doing good. Just wiped out from the weekend. I had a blast. Got to see some cool DJs mix. Got to see a little bit of the legend Carl Cox, which was super awesome. I've seen him so many times on YouTube. It was super cool to see him on up close and personal. Yes, Marcella. I named her Allie. And she's right here. She's a she. Cause I already have Gary, so we decided she's a she. It's Allie the alien. And thanks again, Marcella. Unfortunately, I can't really put her anywhere, so she's sitting on my desk right here. Chris, I did what I do every weekend, nothing. Thanks again, Marcella. I love her. She's awesome. Lisa Boo, how's it going? Did anyone else do anything else interesting before? I'll wait a few minutes for a few people to trickle in, and then we'll get on to the topics. Nothing right, Chris. There's nothing wrong with that, actually. Sometimes staying home is the best medicine. Daniel goes easy life for running a motel, all nice and quiet, not with my stereo. Julissa had brunch with my sisters and cousins on Saturday. Oh, that's super cool. Brandon, what's up? Just reminding everyone to smash that like button. Jen, how's it going? It was super crazy on Saturday when I went down to La Poubelle. If you guys caught my live on Saturday, I really did. I'm going to say it again. I don't care how many times I said it. I really did feel like a fish out of water. But hey, I had fun nonetheless. It was cool being down there, seeing what everyone was protesting, and it was crazy, Brandon. I think it got crazier after we left. It it was cool seeing streets, seeing all these people that, you see on screen. It's kind of cool to see them in person and seeing them in action. Julissa goes, yes, it did look crazy out there, and it got crazier after you left. It did. If you guys didn't catch what happened to Streets, it got super crazy. And Streets is as tall as he looks. Not that anybody wanted to know, but he's super tall. NJS55, I'm glad you went. It's part of history. Yes, it is. It's an experience. Nerd report in the house, so I didn't mind going. It was an experience, something to get me out of my comfort zone, which is good. It's good to always try something new. Even though I'm kind of a newbie at doing that, when I do go out, I'm usually filming places or conventions, so that was a little something different. And then going down some random dark street that I had no idea where I was going, that was fun too. But I still had a blast. Wendy goes at Nerd Report. I know you always have Lisa's back. Tyrana goes, was it scary? It was scary for me because, like I said, like that's not. I'm a little out of place there because I'm not. I've never been involved in a protest. I've never been anywhere around anything like that. So it was kind of a little scary for me because I felt awkward. I didn't know anybody. I knew them, but they didn't know me, type of thing. You know what I mean? When I was like, I know them, but they don't know me. But some of them knew who I was. Marcel, yes, it is raining. Marcella goes, it's raining. I love the rain. I do too. So it was a bit scary. It was a bit nerving. Chris is saying my dog is growling at me. Oh, that's not good. Rochelle, how's it going? So it was a little, because like I said, I've never done anything like that and it's new to me. I was kind of anxious, but stuck it through. I think if I go again, I should be a little better. I'll probably just stay in the corner and kind of just film what's going on. I actually felt better being in the corner and kind of watching what everyone else was doing. And like that street, like the sidewalk, there's not much room between where the bouncer, I guess you could say, and the street is. So when you're walking by, you're like almost into his business when you're walking by, like his personal space. So that was kind of crazy. Tyrana goes, I'd be scared with all the stuff that goes on with Scientology. Luckily, I think I would have been scared if the stuff that went down when after we left. I'd be like what happened with Streets. Wendy goes, I felt your anxiety, Lisa, for real. Yes, Jen, that was my first protest. I have never been to one. Marcella goes, I love the snow. You know what? People are gonna hate me for that. I love the snow too. I know the people that are in the snow right now, they're gonna hate me for saying that. I'll probably, but I do like it as well. But I think if I go down again, it's not gonna be so bad because I already know, like, kind of what to expect, so shouldn't be too bad. But then you never know, stuff changes there all the time. Tyrana goes, I was scared for you and Lewis. Chris will go, I will trade you places, Lisa. All those people are pretty cool. they're as cool on camera as they are off. Jin, the protest they're protesting, I guess that restaurant is where the actor from that '70s show, Danny Masterson, had raped someone at, and don't quote me on it. And they're protesting because the owner of the restaurant supported um it. And David Masterson, if you're not familiar, he is a Scientologist. And the celebrity center is right across the street from the restaurant as well, which I didn't know at the time. Tyrana, thank you for gifting 1 membership. Hearts for Tyrana, and welcome MJS55 to the Wolfpack. Hearts for Tyrana and welcome NJS55. Thank you, Tyrana. So they're basically protesting against Scientology and against the restaurant because of the owner's decision. And some of the people there get heated, like just people walking on the street. I don't even DOA got his phone taken away from him. Matthew, how's it going? So it was kind of creepy. All right, guys, have you guys heard of the Fox sisters? Sure, Wendy, go for it. Wendy's asking, can I ask a serious question? Before I get into I was waiting for some people to trickle in, but Jen has never heard. D Nice has. I kind of mentioned them on my Satori and Cody video. Julissa goes, no, never heard of them. Daniel goes, no. Well, basically, Cody and Satori Matthew goes, yes. People are comparing them to the Fox sisters. And I did say on that video that I was going to explain it. But Heather Salvatore, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Hearts for Heather. Welcome, Peggy, 5D, Randy. What's up, Pearl Jan? Nikki Bella. To the Wolfpack, hearts for Heather and the new Wolfpack members. And welcome, Tuckas, as well. Just a reminder that your membership is good for 1 month. So I did mention them like vaguely when I was talking about Cody and Satori. I did get a comment that there are people out there that do believe in Cody and Satori. There's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing against anyone that believes in them. There's nothing wrong with being a believer in the paranormal and then also being a skeptic about it as well, because it's always good to question what you're seeing, because maybe not necessarily what's going on is actually happening. So the Fox sisters, and I found an article about them. This is from History. How a hoax by 2 sisters helped spark the spiritualism craze. When 2 young sisters claimed to communicate with ghosts in the mid-1800s, they soon became celebrity mediums and unwittingly spurred a trend. So here is the Fox sisters, Kate and Maggie Fox, who claimed to be spirit mediums. In March of 1848, 2 young sisters in Hydesville, New York, came up with what they may have considered a fun prank. Teenagers Maggie Fox and her younger sister Kate claimed that they There was a spirit communicating with them by making otherworldly raps on the walls and futures furniture of their house. When their mother asked how many children she had, the spirit appeared to rap out the correct number. One of their neighbors reportedly witnessed these sounds, and word spread that there was something strange going on at the Fox house. Maggie and Kate made these noises by cracking their knuckles, toes, and other joints. A fact Maggie confessed to the New York World 40 years later in 1888. By that point, the childhood prank had spun out of control, and the now adult sisters had become famous mediums. The Fox sisters and their public seances helped spark a spiritualism craze in the United States and Europe, built built sorry about that built on the belief that it was possible for living humans to communicate with the dead. Daniel's like, who you gonna call? The business of spiritualism. So this is the Fox sisters' house, shown in 1848, in Hydesville, New York. A quaint little cottage. The business of spiritualism. Soon after Maggie and Kate's supernatural discoveries, the girls went to live with their older sister Leah in Rochester. When the supernatural occurrences continued, Leah decided to turn this into a little bit of a business, says Nancy Rubin Stewart, author of The Reluctant Spiritualist: The Life of Maggie Fox. In November of 1849, at Rochester Corinthian Hall, Rochester's Corinthian Hall, Maggie and Kate demonstrated their powers to a paying crowd of nearly 400 people. Newspapers began to report on the girls, and the sisters soon held public demonstrations in New York City. Pearl Jam goes, they didn't have internet back then, so they must have done some detective work to get things right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There was no internet, there was no videos, it was just pretty much word of mouth. Plenty of people denounced the girls as fake, and some correctly guessed that the sisters were just cracking their joints, but many others believed that they were witnessing a true spiritual phenomenon. Soon, other people began to open their own shows in which they claimed to be mediums who could communicate with the dead. One of the key aspects that differentiated the spiritualism craze from religious and spiritual beliefs that came before it was its connection to the growing media and entertainment industries in the United States and Europe. People in the business of spiritualism gave paid theatrical performances featuring elaborate lighting, music, and table tipping seances. The Fox sisters became celebrities, and so too did other self proclaimed mediums. It kind of sounds familiar with some of these, with the with the mainstream like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, and I'm gonna use Project Fear as one because they're very, they have high production, and um they have the effects and all that stuff going on, and they do overreact, I feel, for some things. But hey, it is entertainment. People aren't gonna watch unless you're a fan. If you're a fan from the beginning, you're gonna watch no matter what. But people aren't gonna watch unless there's something there's something going on. Unless you're like a super fan, which I understand. There's people that are gonna watch shows no matter what. In the 1850s, Ira and William Davenport became famous for what was essentially a magic show whose tricks they attributed to spiritual intervention. Many stage musicians differentiated themselves from spiritualists like the Davenport brothers by exposing what spiritualists did as a hoax, something for which is illusionist Harry Houdini later became famous. Despite these exposures, spiritualism remained extremely popular throughout the 19th century. Heather, whatever. How's it going? The lure of spiritualism. Not everyone who attended spiritualism shows believed what they were seeing. Some went as skeptics who wanted to see for themselves if there was anything convincing about what the Fox sisters or other mediums did, which is nothing wrong with that. I've always said if you want to find out what something is about, experience yourself. Go to that location, check it out, see what the vibe is. Some attendees may have gone simply for the entertainment value, which is nothing wrong with that either. Yet for many people, demonstrations of spiritualism were not only believable but deeply comforting. During and after the Civil War, many Americans found solace in the idea that they can communicate with people they'd lost. One of these people was Mary Todd Lincoln. During Abraham Lincoln's presidency, cannot read today, I apologize. The First Lady held seances in the White House to try to communicate with her dead children. The spiritualism craze also found many followers in Europe after the death of Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, in 1861. The Queen held many seances in Buckingham Palace in order to talk to him. Maggie's confession to the New York World in 1888 that her and her sister's communication with the dead had been a hoax, as well as her public demonstration of how she cracked joints to make rapping noises, was big news among people interested in spiritualism, which kind of sucks because there's people out there that actually are looking for an answer from their loved ones. So I mean, how many people did the Fox sisters uh you know talk to saying that they had communication with their loved ones? It's kind of messed up. It's kind of how what Doof Doof Paranormal said on when she was last on the show. It's kind of messed up when people are actually looking for some peace and solace, maybe even closure with their dead one, or with their dead one. Oh my god, with their loved one that passed away, and then come to find out that it's been a hoax. Like that that's kind of messing with people's emotions. Heather, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could crack my knuckles, but not like I don't know how they must have had it like under something when they were doing it. At the public demonstration attended by Kate and held shortly after the publication of Maggie's confession, the New York Herald reported that Maggie was greeted with cheers and hisses. When I began this deception, I was too young to know right from wrong, Maggie told the crowd, according to the Herald, that I have been meanly instrumental in perpetrating the fraud of spiritualism upon a too confiding public. Many of you already know, if it's the greatest sorrow of my life. Yet, for believers, the news was not necessarily a blow to spiritualism's credibility. Wait a minute, hold on, let me go up to, it doesn't say how old they were when they started in this article. It doesn't. But do those girls, I mean, they look like they're, how old do you think they look here? There, I cracked. Oh my god, what was that? How old do you think they look here? Maybe 19. Gunner Girl says 19. Heather Whatever says 24, 25. So do you believe that the Tyranna goes 26? Do, Chris Burr, that's what I was thinking too. Late teens, early 20s. So do you think, because she had mentioned that she didn't know any better? She was, Maggie had said I was too young to know right from wrong. Rochelle goes, they look a bit like Colette. Heather Salvatore goes, they look 30, but maybe they're 19, no makeup. Daniel goes 16 and 20. So do you think what she said when she began the deception that I'm bad with ages too, Wendy, that Maggie was too young, or both the sisters were too young to know right from wrong? Heather Salvatore goes, they're doing the witch trial stuff, go with the flow. They kind of just went with what everyone was saying, basically. Because their older sister was the one that kind of turned it into a business venture. Chris Barber goes, they could be older because people did back then and they passed away young. Oh, yes, they did. Matthew goes, don't want to guess or ask a woman's age. Matthew, though, they passed away, so I think it's okay to ask. Unless you don't want their ghosts coming after you. I don't think they were too young to know. I think what Heather Salvatore um said, they kind of went with the flow, which I kind of agree, because their older sister did make it into a business venture. But I feel like they weren't too young to know right from wrong. I think they realized that they were gaining like attention and they were kind of making a business out of it. So that kind of turned it into, seeing the outcome of it kind of made them forget like what it actually was. In my opinion, I don't know about you guys, but because when you start, they probably were charging people to do these demonstrations. So you know how, yeah, Wendigo's monetizing back in the day for real, 100%. Yeah, so I mean, you got to think, when money starts rolling in with for some of these people, you're gonna forget. You're gonna be like, oh no, forget. You're gonna forget what originally made you start doing this. You're just gonna be like, okay, yeah, let's go for it. I mean, I don't blame them. You in some ways, but still, it kind of sucks for those people, like I was saying earlier, that was they were looking for closure. And it did mention in the article about Civil War, about Abraham Lincoln, and them trying to, uh just as an example, the Fox sisters wasn't related to the Lincoln incident, but just to imagine like someone looking for closure and looking for, some peace of mind, maybe just to know that their loved one is okay, and these sisters, it was all a prank. Chris Barber goes, money, money, money. Tyrana goes, I think they knew right from wrong too. Heather Salvatore. She goes, Mary, be a horror, make money this way. There are a lot of situations in which spiritualist mediums were caught faking committing fraud, or spiritualist mediums made declarations similar to Maggie's confession, says Simone Natal, a professor at the University of Turin in Italy and author of Supernatural Entertainments, Victorian Spiritualism, and the Rise of Modern Media Culture. But these never really stopped people from believing it. It isn't clear what motivated Maggie to confess that it had all been a hoax in 1888, nor is it clear why exactly she recanted that confession the next year. Regardless of Maggie and Kate's true feelings about their careers as mediums, the spiritualist craze they had unwittingly helped start continued to be popular well into the 20th century. So, guys, what do you think of the Fox sisters? So, Leah, there's three of them. There's Leah, Kate, and Maggie, or Margaret. Margareta? Yeah, Margareta. That's a cool name, actually. Chris Barber goes, Victorian era was big into spiritual stuff. Yeah, they were using Ouija boards like it was nothing. Like now, like you would rarely see anyone using a Ouija board because they'll be like, "No, I'm not messing with that." But back then, it was like people were using it. It like it was something like your morning coffee or something like that. Like something like that was part of your life. My morning coffee is part of my life. That's why I use that analogy. Project goes so true. Women had no other choices back then. Her Heather Salvatore also added or being a nanny of bad kids. Rochelle goes, great analogy, Lisa. But that's kind of how it was because we don't think twice when we're making our morning coffee. So that's how it was back then. Spirit boards was like something they did. It wasn't uh it wasn't something with a bad rap like it is now. So that's Chris Barber goes, eat some toast, read the paper, and conjure demons. Exactly. Gunner Girl goes, women have definitely come a long way. Exactly. We have. So that's what people are comparing Cody and Satori to while they think that they're cracking joints and stuff. Though they deny it, which I don't blame them for denying it. Um, but if someone's asking you to prove yourself and you kind of say no about it, then that kind of is a little unsettling. Because if I was trying to prove myself, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do this. Pearl Jan goes, the Fox sisters, more like the Fox sisters. FAUX sisters. Heather, whatever goes, see, technology's good, keeps us from cracking our knuckles and hustling. True. True, because now you can just add the sounds. That's the only thing. That's the only a problem with some because of technology. We can Photoshop and add sounds and you can react to it, and then later and when you're editing, you can add the sounds and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard for me. I am a believer, but I also am gonna go at it as a skeptic as well. But it's nothing wrong with people that do believe in it. Believe are huge fans of the ghost hunting shows. Chris Barber goes, I would hate to have lived back then. The women wore, oh, same here. The corsets. Oh my gosh. And then just imagine being without certain things that we have today back then. I mean, I've read things where they didn't really use soap. They took baths like when it was like articles I've been reading. I'm like, oh my God, I would never want to live back then. The stuff that we have now, we take for granted. Like I was reading that they would take baths and the entire family, it was an article I found, and the entire family would take baths in the same bath water. So just imagine being the last person to take a bath. And then they didn't really use soap and they kind of only bathed like once a month. It was like Randy goes chastity belts. Julissa goes 100% so gross and the youngest bathed last. Exactly. Just imagine that. So the stuff that we have today, I'm so grateful. And probably too, if you're the last one to get into the bath too, it's probably cold. Like how Heather whatever said. Chris Berger goes, where do you think the term on the rag comes from? Oh, I don't even, I'm not going, that's TMI right there. I won't even get to, but just imagine. and I heard, like, I was reading an article, like, they used moss for the womanly thing. Not to get into it, but I don't know, I go into rabbit holes when I see articles and I start reading. Yeah, I heard that they used, like, moss, which, just thinking of using that and the infections that came with it. I know it's TMI, but that I went down that rabbit hole. Life was simpler back then. Things probably didn't cost as much back then, but I would not want to give up the amenities that we have today. I think I would try if I could go back in time, I would go back for one day and that was it. And then I'd realize, why did I ever like this time period? True, Randy. Randy makes a point. It wasn't gross when that is all you had. True. Very true. They didn't know any better. They didn't know any better and they had to use what they had to do. True, Randy. I agree with you on that one. But I don't take for granted what we have today, for sure. For sure, I don't. But I get it. That if that's all I had back then and I didn't know anything better, of course that I wouldn't be saying anything. But if I was coming from the future to the past, experiencing that, then I'd probably cause a time continuum because I'd be telling everybody about. I would be telling everybody about what's going on in the future. So I better not go back to the past. But it's very true. If you don't know any different and that's all you had, then of course, I don't fault them for that at all. Pearl Jam goes, when I first saw the video, I was skeptical. I believed at first because they don't charge any money, but then it dawned on me they can get money with exposure. The debunking video made complete sense. Yeah, they even said Pearl Jam, going back to Cody and Satori, they said in an interview with because Project Fear had interviewed them, and they said that that was one of their rules, not to take money when uh they're performing, their when they're performing their technique. But if you think of it, when they show up on these, when they performed it on Ghost Hunters, they had to sign a contract to go on to the television show. And then they're on Sam and Colby, and they're also on Project Fear because Project Fear also went to the Conjuring House. So that's another thing. Like, they're getting exposure that way, which is kind of still in a way, if you think of it, they're not physically maybe not making the money for doing it, but somewhere somehow there's something. D Nice, what's up? Mr. Rock Gaming, how's it going? Pearl Jam goes, pretty sure they would gladly take donations. I would not dismiss that. For sure, I would not dismiss that. Oh, also too, Skilleduck, I forgot to mention, is somewhere in the background and reminded me I will reveal his location at the end of the stream. I had forgotten my last stream. So he is somewhere in my background and I will reveal his location. Skilleduck's location at the end of the stream. Just remind me. Rochelle, thank you for stopping by. No. No. D Nice goes, I felt robbed the last stream. Thanks, Rochelle. All right, guys, I found while I was searching ghost in the news, I found another article. And Ghost in the News is where I actually Google Ghost in the News and see what pops up. And this is thank you, D Nice. I love the story about the sisters. Great topic for tonight. So this one is from CBS 21. I don't know if it's called CBS. I'm pretty sure nationwide it's called CBS. I think it's CBS. Is it CBS or ABC? Don't quote me. I haven't watched oh, it is CBS. Duh. Haunting tales from 1804, paranormal happenings, revived history at Lancaster County Mansion. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The Samuel Miller Mansion was built in 1804 and home to several companies. Over 200 years later, the mansion is just as active as it was before, but its inhabitants are a little more haunting. And this is what I like to deal with. I kind of like dealing with the dead more than the living. They're kind of just easier to get along with. I don't know about you guys. They kind of don't talk. Well, I mean, I guess they do talk back, but they kind of don't. Wendy, it's Wendy's asking Lancaster, Massachusetts. It's Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The building is not currently lived in. It was formerly a bank, feed mill, print shop, toy company, and even supported the Underground Railroad. The current owner says she's had connections with spirits in every room of the home. After Phantom Detectives LLC, a paranormal investigation group, caught wind of this, that's actually a cool name, Phantom Detectives. Wind of this, they knew they had to investigate. We were invited to roam freely through the mansion to take a look at each room. The stairs were steep and the wood was a little rickety. In most rooms, the wallpaper was chipping and it was easy to tell the rooms had not been updated in a while. In one of the rooms, writing was left on the wall that talked about World War II finally coming to an end. Wow. Directly, so that's about what, 1945? Directly next to that was a remark also penciled into the wall, made from a previous inhabitant about how the mansion smelled of smoke. Phantom detectives explained that just because you can't always see the spirits does not mean they aren't there. True. True. Just because if you go to a location and nothing happens, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not haunted, which I do agree that. I do agree with that. It's just when you do go, you're most likely it's not like the shows that you see, you're not going to always catch something. Pearl Jan goes, I'm in Pennsylvania and oh boy, the state is all haunted. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but moved from one form to another. So, if spirits are energy made up of EMF fields, they can move in different ways. Energy in places is different, and it all depends on how you treat them when they manifest themselves, says Joshua Cherries, the founders of Phantom Detectives. The investigators explain that the best way to approach spirits is with kindness and respect, as if you're entering someone's home. A construction worker who was reinforcing out. You know what? This kind of remind me. I'm going to kind of go down a rabbit hole. with Cody and Satori. I remember another YouTuber had um talked about them, and he had said in the when Sam and Colby decided to they wanted to debunk them. So they did an interview with them and they had them do their technique outside. They even bought shoes from Walmart, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess they had asked, I don't know exactly what they had asked, but Cody and Satori had all of a sudden, I think it was when they were trying, hey, we've got cards. Do you want to try that? Hey, we have, things. And they said no. And the spirits don't want us to do that. And I guess this other YouTube had made a comment which made sense. He was like, well, when you were performing, because they went down the road they went down some random road to do their technique. So when they were doing that at the park, when they went down to down the road, etc., they didn't ask the spirits for permission. So why would they all of a sudden ask for permission when Sam and Colby saying, hey, I've got some cards, let's try some cards. Hey, I got this, let's try this. So that kind of, yeah, that kind of reminded me of that. Randy goes, our bodies die, our spirits is immortal. Chris Barber, can't wait for warmer weather. I want to find haunted places here in Ohio. Super cool. A construction worker who was reinforcing a spiral staircase on the second floor told us that he had a paranormal encounter himself. He explained that he arrived early one morning while it was still dark outside to get a head start on work for the day. While he was going about the morning, he said he heard heavy footsteps in the attic, sounding almost like a men's dress shoe. The experience gave him chills. He went up the exact stairs he had been repairing to check if someone had entered the home, but no one was to be found. So, of course, it was only natural that he would had to go in the attic next. Oh no, not the attic. The entrance to the third floor was dark, even though it was not covered by any door. Using thermal and EMF technology, we located a spirit that appeared to be sitting in a chair upstairs. They didn't show a picture, just a picture of the chair. After we were finished in the attic, we ran into the owner on the second floor who asked us if we had met the ghostly lady upstairs. No, Chris Barber, if you go to Bobby Mackey's, let me know. That's super cool. Each room in the mansion carries a different energy. Some feel lighter and happier, but others feel stuffy and almost anxiety inducing. Paranormal medium Melissa Ferrazzano explained that the experiences of the spirits determine the kind of energy they carry. Because the mansion is so old, multiple residents inhabited the building in a different time period and thus had different experiences in each room. One of those rooms belonged to a little girl. Verrazano walked us through the child's room. So this has a more peaceful vibe here, she said. I mean, it's obvious that children stayed in the room, so it's very light, it's very airy, it's a lot more peaceful. Unfortunately, the memories in the house were not all happy. Ferranzo told us that in a few of the rooms toward the servants' quarters, located in the back of the house, she could feel the beginning of a headache. In paranormal investigations, feeling a headache is usually an indicator of a more angry or sad spirit. I don't know about this one. I cannot quote this. So if you guys I've never heard, I mean, I've heard that you do feel something out of the ordinary, but I've never heard feeling a headache is usually an indicator of a more angry or sad spirit. I don't know. Have you guys heard of that? I have never heard of that. I know everyone experiences different things. Like you get the goosebumps or but I've never heard this. Chris Barber goes, that doesn't sound right, but I think it's different for everyone. Julissa goes, no, but so interesting. Yeah, I understand it's different for everyone, but I've just never heard of a headache indicating like an angry or sad spirit. D Nice is going, I only felt high blood pressure when something is near. Also had heavy feelings when I visited San Jose. Randy goes, I heard nausea if there is a dark energy present. Tyrana goes, very interesting. I've heard like the nausea, like Randy has said, or like a heavy feeling, or your heart starts racing, the goosebumps, like the feel of someone watching you, stuff like that. I've heard. Heather Salvatore goes, yes, I've heard of that, or sick, bad belly. Wendy smells flowers with a good spirit. Lisa Boo. When we stepped into the servants' quarter, she explained, I do feel that a few women unfortunately met their demise here. I feel that there was a lot of pain and suffering, that this was, not always a happy place to be. With such a rich and well preserved history, it's safe to say that Central PA just may very well indeed, be quite haunted. So guys, what did you think of the Samuel Miller Mansion? Now I want to know more about the Samuel Miller Mansion, because that didn't really. Mr. Ruck Gaming goes, I used to watch Jack Osborne's paranormal show. I think his shows might have mentioned this, but can't be certain. It kind of makes a bit of sense, though. Brandon smells cigarettes randomly. I think it's my grandma. D Nice goes, San Jose, when I shared about my mom's cousin's daughter, it was the heaviest feeling I've ever felt. Something I never want to feel again. May she rest in peace. When my mom passed away, the day before, they had given us the bad news that she had only a day to live. And so I walked into my mom did not know. My dad chose not to tell her. He chose not to tell her that when they had performed about a month earlier, they had performed surgery to remove the tumor, the cancer. Come to find out that it had spread, but my dad told me, but he chose not to tell my mom because he didn't want my mom to freak out or whatnot. And that he had told me, well, we could have her for a month, we can have her for 6 months, we don't know. So the day before, he had told me that, she has we don't know if she's going to make it till tomorrow. She has about a day to live. So, I remember that was like the hardest thing in the world because I could not show any emotion because my mom did not know. Hardest thing. But I walked in there, said goodbye to my mom, um, said I would see her tomorrow, walked out, started bawling, was strong for my mom. And then I don't think anybody could have been strong seeing their mom hooked up to a gazillion machines. I do not wish that upon anybody. That is not what I remember. I don't want to remember my mom that way. So I try not to talk about it because I don't want to remember her that way. She had a heating blanket on her. She had a gazillion because she was losing temperature. Like basically her organs were starting to shut down at that point. So was like, Mom, good to see you. I'll see you tomorrow. Even though I knew in my head I wasn't going to see her tomorrow. But my dad had chose not to, and I respected his decision. He chose not to because he didn't want my mom. He wanted my mom to be comfortable, didn't want her to worry about, which I understood. So that My dad chose to stay at the hospital. I didn't want to be there. I personally did not want, because everyone was like, "Why aren't you there?" I was like, "I don't want to see my mom die. Who wants to see their mom die?" I know there's people. My dad, that I always looked up to him for that, because that's probably the bravest thing to do, is to stay there by someone's side while they're dying. I just personally could not do that. I did not want to remember my mom that way. Um, and so I remember coming home, because he was at the hospital, so I was here by myself. I remember coming home, and you could just feel this, like, you could feel, like, in the air, that it wasn't right. It was like death was death was searching. Like, that's how it felt to me. I don't know if it was just my mind racing because of what happened, but there was an unsettling feeling in the house. Like, where my mom, cuz my at the time my mom was kind of on hospice before she had entered the hospital. So, she had her hospital bed there. And right in that area, it just felt like very unsettling. So it kind of reminds me of, everyone talking about what they experienced, and that's how I felt. Like, it just felt like an unsettling in the air, as if death was, that's the only way I can describe it. It was like death was trying to find the souls to take, and it just, that's how it felt in the house. Like, it was just cold and unsettling, and the air was, I just remembered, like, it was just a different vibe to the house. So when you guys talked about that, it kind of reminded me of that day. And then once I still went to work the next, I remember I went to work the next day, and they were like, "Why are you here? You should be with your mom." And, like I had said, I was like, "I don't want to watch my mom pass away." And then my dad kindly came, and it was about 9, little after 9, I think it was like 9:30, he had said she had passed away. And so when I came back to the house, which was weird, there was like a peacefulness, which I cannot explain, but that's kind of, so when you guys are mentioning all your little your experiences, that reminded me of that experience. I'm not sure if that was something that because of what I was going through, my emotions were all messed up, so that's what I was picking up on, but that's what it felt to me. Pearl Jam goes, "I do have a story for you about death. I'll send you a message on IG." Go for it, Pearl Jam. Heather Salvatore, thank you. Super hugs. D Nice goes, "In March, it's been 10 years for my dad's mom and 15 since mom's mom, so I might not be online much." Mr. Ruck Gaming, bless you. Thank you, Mr. Ruck Gaming. Chris, thank you. Hugs, Lisa. I miss my mom so much. Wendy, no more suffering and in a better place. Exactly. And that's what got me through it. I was thinking my mom was not suffering. Marcella goes, "You felt her peace with it." Yes, I did. Randy goes, "That was your mom, peaceful." Heather Salvatore, it goes, "It was what you need it to be." True. And then, ironically, um, when my dad passed away, uh, a week later, he passed away. Then my stepmom was like, she had asked me, like, "So do you want your dad buried or cremated?" And I was like, "You know what? I want my dad cremated, because we had my mom cremated, and I liked the idea of having my mom um close to me." So I decided to do the same thing with my dad. And we had buried, and initially I have both of their ashes. So but there was a beautiful urn we had my mom in, which ultimately my dad's had always been talking about, "When I die, I will have your mom buried with me at um I'll have my mom buried with them." So my mom is currently buried with my dad, but I still do have their ashes. And the day that he was going to go through the process of cremation, um, my stepmom had told me. that Jack, their dog, my stepbrother dog, as we call it, my stepbrother Jack, um, or brother Jack. They always called him my brother, my dog brother. There you go. That's more better of explaining it. He started barking all of a sudden, just out of nowhere. And he was in the kitchen and he just was barking. So my stepmom goes over there and she's like, "What's going on?" So she didn't think anything of it. And then, Jack had stopped. She didn't think anything of it until she saw the time. A week prior, my dad had passed away at the same time that Jack was barking. And she had told me that. And I was like, "Oh my God, that is so crazy." Oh my God, that gave me chills now. So I do believe that there's spirits among us. And even when the day before my dad had passed, I was visiting him because something that day had told me visit him. And I'm so glad I did because I was actually going to go the next day, the day that he passed. And I remember sitting on the couch and when my dad always had a habit of when I was sitting on the couch, he would stand behind me. And I remember Jack was looking at me, but he was also looking behind me. And I was like, "Jack, what are you looking at?" And I kept looking behind me and I didn't see there was no one behind me. Not my stepmom wasn't behind me. My stepmom was I think she was in the kitchen doing something or at the kitchen table talking. And I remember Jack was looking behind me. And I was like, "Are you seeing what I'm not?" At the point my dad was still alive, but he wasn't really there. So and I had told my dad he can go. So I always believed that Jack saw him even prior to him passing away. Because he kept looking behind me. Like he looked at me and was like, "Jack, what are you looking at?" Then he would look behind me. Then he would look at me. Then he would look behind me. And I'm like, "Jack, what are you looking at?" Because I knew what was there was not my dad anymore. Because it was just a shell of him. It wasn't his Marcella goes, "Bella passed on 12/14, 1 week before her birthday, 12/21. Her ashes arrived at my door at exactly 12/21. Wow. That is awesome." Heather, whatever goes, "My dog is listening to you. He's Jack." So just because I haven't had the experiences of things being knocked off of the table and doors opening, I still have those type of experiences that I do believe that there's something there. Or I've never caught an EVP or whatever it may be. I've never seen a door open on its own aside from the wind pushing it open. But hearts for Marcella, guys. But those little things make me believe that there is something out there on the other side. Randy goes, "You can ask for a sign from your loved ones." Randy, my mom would always when I would dream, I don't dream as much anymore. When I would dream when I was younger, I would always dream about my mom. "Joanne, how's it going?" D Nice goes, "If you ever happen to meet my man, he has a crazy story when he worked security." Oh, cool. Marcella's asking, "Do popsicles don't mean anything to me?" No, not at the moment, Marcella. I'd have to think about that one. Thank you, Heather, whatever, for your PayPal from earlier. Hearts for Heather, whatever. Because my phone has been making noises. It doesn't make the normal noise for PayPal anymore, so I have to look. Thank you, Heather, whatever. Hearts for Heather. Randy goes, your mom was visiting you in your dream state. Exactly. That's how I knew she was telling me she was okay. I had a friend as well. I know I've told you guys this before, but I had a friend that passed away from breast cancer at the age of 30, and she had an open casket. I chose not to go to the funeral, and it was not to disrespect her. It's because I did not want to remember. It's the same thing with my mom. I did not want to remember my mom that way, as nor did I want to remember my friend that way. And it always, yes, she was only 30. And I always felt like, well, maybe I made the wrong decision. I should have gone, you know, I should have gone. Because I felt, I was kind of torn with it. But I still felt that that's not how I want to remember her. I don't want to remember her that way. And so I had a dream. She came into my dream. And when I woke up, I knew that she understood my decision. And from that day on, I felt comfortable what uh with my decision. Heather Salvatore, you're making me cry. I'm losing my dad as we speak every day, dementia, but my mom lives in fear with this man she doesn't know anymore. Oh, sorry to hear, Heather Salvatore. My dad did suffer a little bit of dementia too prior to passing. He had Parkinson's. I'm sorry to hear that. That's rough. I kind of know I kind of know what you're going through because I kind of went through that with my dad. My dad was a jack of all trade, and to see him not even be able to use a remote was hard, cuz I've learned so much from him. I was always like over his shoulder watching him fix things, and if he was working on a car, I'd be over there looking under there. If he was doing some electrical stuff, I'd be there watching him. So to see him not be able to even use a remote was hard. So I kind of know, Heather Salvador. I kind of know what you're going through. It is rough. Randy goes, I don't go to funerals that have an open casket for that same reason. I do go to the burial. Like my grandmother, she didn't want an open casket, so we didn't have a wake or anything for her, but I was at her, like as Randy has said, I did go to the burial. It's just the open caskets. No disrespect for anyone that goes. I just choose not to. It's just something I don't want to remember the person like that. I want to think of the good times and have happy memories, not remember them in that state. But like I've had experiences like that where it makes me believe that there is something on the other side, and then they can communicate with us. So that's kind of why I'm a believer. I just haven't had like physical things happen. When he goes, same Lisa, my dad taught me so much, and to have to walk him to the bathroom, he was weak and couldn't walk. Heather, whatever goes, my cousin put his brother's guitar on his casket. So if someone, and it's disheartening to see someone fake communication. Not saying that everyone out there that's like a medium or somewhat is a fraud, but for the ones that are, it's kind of disheartening to see that because some people really want answers. So I I've always had like my mom coming into my dreams, my dad has come into my dreams. I've always known they were okay in that sense. So I've never really needed to find I've never I know there's some people that um they're hoping to get communication with a loved one. I've never been in that position because I've always had dreams. I've had dreams. So I've never felt I felt that that was my communication letting me know they're okay. So when someone is doing that and telling people about their loved ones that aren't real, that's disheartening. And I could see why some people would get pissed off about that because you're playing with people's emotions and that's messed up and you shouldn't. And not to say that they're all frauds. Not to say, not even to say that some of these ghost hunters, not to say that they go to these places and they don't actually catch something, or not to say that the place is not haunted. Randy goes, absolutely. Matthew goes, I heard some people got buried with their car. Wow. Daniel go, I held my mother's hand as she passed. Really not a bad memory, more beautiful to me because I was there for her. See, that nothing wrong with that, Daniel. See, nothing wrong. It's just something I chose not to do. But if that's nothing wrong with it, I don't see it. If your memory of that is a beautiful moment, nothing wrong with it at all. Heather Salvatore, we are your friends, Lisa. We are family. We are together. Thank you, Heather Salvatore. Appreciate that. Chris goes, I wouldn't mind being buried in a 68 Camaro. Daniel goes, my brother couldn't be there. Ah. So some things, even though, like Wendy said, she couldn't make it, she wished she could have gotten an earlier flight, or how Heather whatever said her brother told her to go to sleep. It was meant, I feel like it was meant, it was probably better for you not, like, it was the universe's way of saying that everything was going to be okay. Pearl Jan goes, exactly. There are a lot of fake mediums out there. It's really sickening when they do fake, especially because a lot of them you pay money to. A lot of them, they make a financial, compensation out of it. If they don't, then, but still, it doesn't matter if they get paid for it or not. The fact that they're playing with other people's emotions. That's why I wanted to talk about the Fox sisters, and how she's saying she was too young to know any better. I'm like, dude, they looked old enough to know better. I think they got carried away with the business side of it. Um, with the money, they were probably getting, the article didn't say that they were making money, but they were probably getting some type of compensation from it. So they probably got carried away with that. Julissa goes, tonight's stream is turned very much. I wasn't planning it. It just went that way. Because you guys just reminded me when you were talking about your experiences, you reminded me of my experiences. And I guess they don't know what prompted her later to, come clean. And then I guess the article had said that she recanted it. Like, oh, no, 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 it's real. When he goes, emotional is better out than in. Very true. So that kind of, that, and I can see why people are angry about it now, thinking about it, and why they pointed out Cody and Satori, or they point out some of these. It's mostly with it, they don't really, or they point out the ghost hunting uh hunters, the various ghost hunters that they have out there on YouTube and in mainstream. Heather Salvador is seeing group love for sure. But that's why it's important. I feel like too it gives the people that are actually ghost hunting or who are actually paranormal investigating, who are actual mediums and psychics a bad name because they're actually out there wanting to help people, and you've got these people that are fraudulent. So it kind of sucks in a way too with that. Kind of gives people that actually want to go out there and find answers and don't add stuff to their streams, like they don't edit and they don't do this, but they actually go to a location. They actually was like, "Well, here's the location, nothing happened." It gives them a bad dream. It's not necessarily meaning that the place isn't haunted. It just means that you didn't catch anything. So it kind of sucks that way too. Heather Salvatore goes, "A lot of people hide their talents." Heather, whatever goes, "I read there were a lot of fakes back then." I mean, there's musicians, but I feel like I don't put musicians because I feel like they're entertainment. That's what they're there for. I don't feel like that's what it is. It's the trick of the eye. So I don't feel like that article had mentioned Harry Houdini. I don't feel like they shouldn't even mention Harry Houdini. Maybe they were just using it as an example of the time, like how there were shows but I feel like musicians are that's what they're there for. They're there to be entertaining, to trick of the eye, to Heather Salvatore goes, "I don't mean those talents. If you saw people, you shut your mouth and did not tell people." Pearl Jacko speaking, "I live nearby the Houdini Museum and it's haunted." That sounds interesting, actually. That does. D Nice goes, "You just remind me of Sandra West. She was buried in her Ferrari in San Antonio. Something to look into." Oh, maybe. Nothing wrong with being buried with her beloved car. Nothing wrong with it. Hey, she probably didn't want anybody else to have it. I don't blame her. I probably do the same thing. All right, guys. Have any of you guys, because I went down a rabbit hole. It was a good rabbit hole, though. Have any of you guys heard of the Hat Man? Oh, D Nice goes, "Maybe she wanted space away from her husband. She was buried next to him." Heather Salvatore goes, "No." Matthew says, "No." Heather whatever goes, "Sound familiar." Chris goes no. So I found this article from the week, and it's Who is the Hat Man? The sleep paralysis nightmare shared around the world. Shadowy figures have become a dominant character in digital culture, fueled by TikTok's fascination with the paranormal. Very true. Very true. Tales of things that go bump in the night are often met with skepticism, but one nightmarish figure keeps cropping up in reports from all around the world. Numerous people claim to have woken in the dark to find a shadowy figure dubbed the Hat Man looming over them. The phenomenon has attracted widespread attention, inspiring documentaries, and the launch of a dedicated blog, the Hat Man Project, where people can share their experiences. Something that probably began with a trick of the light as processed by the human subconscious has become a dominant character within the digital culture, said Rolling Stone. The spooky being has inspired its own lore in countless witness reports. Lately, fueled by TikTok's fascination with the paranormal and cult, and that's kind of where I heard about it. Who or what is the Hat Man? So prompted me to look it up. It is not a new phenomenon. For about as long as written records have existed, people have described a frightening nighttime vision that paralyzes them with fear and seems to suck the breath right out of them, often by pressing directly upon their chest, reported Quartz. The shape of the frightening figure occasionally varies, but victims usually report feeling utterly paralyzed with terror and breathless as if fear had frozen them from the inside out, said the site. The strange vision is remarkably consistent from one account to the next, added Rolling Stone. It's the tall silhouette of a man in a brimmed hat, a presence that tend to appear when you're in bed at night, somewhere between sleep and consciousness. Of course, said the magazine, as more people talk about Hat Man online, the more power the myth obtains and the image becomes self-perpetuating as those consuming it automatically becomes disposed to recognize the Hat Man in their own bedrooms. What is sleep paralysis? 1 in 5 people have an episode of paralysis at least occasionally, according to the Seattle-based Sleep Foundation, and accompanied hallucinations are very common. I have never experienced sleep paralysis. Have any of you in the chat experienced it? Pearl Jam goes, it's George. Sleep paralysis blurs the line between sleep and wakefulness, so a person starts to become aware of their surroundings but is still in a state of temporary paralysis called muscle atonia, which the body goes into during rapid eye movement, sleep to protect us from acting out our dreams. Interesting. While the exact cause of hallucinations like the Hat Man are unknown, experts believe they occur when people experience the vivid dreams of REM sleep while they are awake, said the foundation. Heather, whatever goes, no, but one of my sons does. Wendy goes, had a cloaked man at the end of my bed with ex-hubby. It's a spirit from PRX, and I had the same dream. Wow. D Nice goes, yes, and I hate it. Randy goes, I have. It kind of sounds like the Hat Box Ghost D Nice. Pearl Jan goes, yes, once, and it still gives me the creeps, but it wasn't the Hat Man. Julissa goes, once in my early 20s. Heather Wetter goes, my husband, when he was a boy, sleepwalked and got in his mom's closet and peed in a hat box. Whoa, that is crazy. Some say the idea of the Hat Man may be subconscious reworkings of figures from popular culture, including popular horror films in recent times. Christopher French, oh my God, Wrench, a psychology professor of Goldsmith University of London. He's gonna be like, that girl said my last name was Wrench. Said the first thing that came to mind when he thought about the Hat Man was Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street. He told Quartz this notion that you can be attacked when you're asleep. That's when you're vulnerable. And of course, Krueger wears a hat. He's making a good analogy there. Writing in the Scientific American, Balan Jalal suggested that people who fear supernatural demons in the night are more likely to experience the phenomenon again. For centuries, cultures across the world have attributed these hallucinations to black magic, mythical monsters, even paranormal activity, said Jalal. A researcher at Harvard University's Department of Psychology. I cannot read today. After comparing how different cultures explain and experience sleep paralysis, he said it appears that the more people fear sleep paralysis, the more they experience it, and the stronger its effects are. Accompanied by a belief in the paranormal, sleep paralysis can therefore be not just frightening, but potentially traumatizing. The human mind is vastly more mysterious and occasionally malevolent than one would have thought. So basically, this article is saying the Hat Man is a myth that was derived from sleep paralysis. What do you guys think? Dusty Lane, what's up? I've had something similar a couple times. I tell myself if I can scream out loud, I'll wake up, and it works. Heather Salvatore goes menopause. I've heard that our hormones when we start entering that phase can cause crazy nightmares and dreams and make us go crazy. So I it didn't mention that, but I would say yeah. But don't quote me, but it's what I've heard. I've heard that it could cause nightmares because of the diminishing hormones in our bodies. Randy goes, I didn't see a hat man, but I didn't know why I couldn't move when my eyes were open. It was terrifying. Whoa, I can imagine. I've never personally experienced it. I mean, I would be dreaming and I would scream and then I would wake up. I've had that happen to me, but I've never had. And in my dream, maybe it was sleep paralysis because I had a dream where something was holding me down and I was screaming and I was still awake and I still felt like something was holding me down. So maybe I did have like I had something like it, but not like where I was awake and my eyes were moving. Heather whatever goes, I had a scary dream after I got saved. My faith's spiritual term, but I was new sober, so I figured evil was trying to scare me off of my new direction. Possibility, Heather whatever. Wendy goes, when my dreams get bad, I always tell myself it's only a dream, but wake up sometimes terrified. Julissa goes, yes, that is it. Okay. I didn't consider that like a sleep paralysis thing, but I had a nightmare where something was holding me down and then I'd be screaming and I would wake up and I kind of still felt like something was holding me down. Chris Barber goes, I have one of those reoccurring dreams, but forgot all the details after like 15 minutes. That has happened to me, Chris. Heather whatever says I had trouble speaking, but knew I had to go cast out the demon, and I finally spoke and did it. And she also says it scares me when my son describes that. Heather Salvatore goes, not sure what sure sleep paralysis have been too hot, but so hot and it feels like too much. This is too much. No screaming though. I have not, luckily, Heather Salvatore, I have not experienced that yet. Yet. I know it's coming, but I haven't experienced the being hot. I get spurts of feeling hot, but not to that extent. So not there yet. But I know every women there's some women that don't even experience that. D Nice goes, but when she was pronounced deceased, I felt at night she was in the room. I saw light and heard something say thank you, and I believe it was her. And I did not read before it. D Nice also said, I don't know if it was my ex's sister or sleep paralysis, but when I was in Hesperia watching over her daughter, she passed due to complications in her pregnancy. Her boy survived and is now 14. Wow. Daniel goes, my dream fit with my life. It was like the giant Pink Floyd wall, and I was flying an airplane and couldn't make it over the top or the sides. It would grow until I grew in my life and made it. Randy goes, same, have zero symptoms of menopause. Julissa goes, I experienced that after the birth of my first child. Crazy hormones, not looking forward to menopause. Heather Salvatore goes, I got them at 38, then another 4 years later, and then some. Wow. Heather Salvatore also goes, super hugs, gang. Or some had zero. Sorry, Randy. Some. See, I told you I can't read today. Pearl Jan goes, part of that one sleep paralysis, I saw my body on the bed and I was floating trying to get back into my body. It was pretty weird. That is weird, Pearl Jan. I can imagine. I'd be so scared if I saw that. I cannot read today. I don't know what it is. My eyes are jumbling. Heather Salvador goes, it's creepy. I have one quick video to show you from TikTok and then we'll open it up for questions. Tip Lisa for eye drop. I think it's because I'm tired from the weekend. I partied. I raved too much. I partied too hard for my body. It's funny when Lewis and I were leaving, there's people passing out flyers and they're like, you're the first people we saw with smiles on our faces. Everyone's walking out, and then Lewis was like, really? And it goes, yeah, everyone's walking out with like this type of look on their face. All right, one quick video I wanted to share with you. It is not a jump scare. You guys don't need to worry about that. So they're basically saying that I thought this video was kind of interesting. I guess they're asking the toy questions and it's answering back. So I'm not sure. I don't know if it's paranormal, but I thought it was kind of crazy. So then the guy had it in storage and he turned it on again and he was asking questions as well. All right, guys, the duck. Oh, did I show you guys the video? Maybe I didn't. Oh my gosh. I partied too hard last weekend. But anyways, that's what's going on. So I apologize if I didn't show the video. Oh my gosh. I partied too hard this weekend. Duh. All right. I'm watching it while you guys are. All right. Let me make sure. Okay. You guys can see it now. Sorry, guys. All right. So, anyways, what's going on is they have this toy. It's in Spanish. But it does translate it, and they're asking this. It's like a magical mirror. So they're talking to it, and it's actually answering back to their questions.
Hola, bienvenido al castillo de los sueños del espejo mágico. ¿Cuál es tu nombre? Yo soy Jessie, la princesa más bella del castillo de los sueños del espejo mágico. ¡Qué tierna eres! Nosotras seremos mejores amigas. ¿Tu personaje favorito? Si papá pregunta, mi favorito es mi papi. Si mamá pregunta, yo responderé que la que más me gusta es mi mami. Y si tú me preguntas, te diré que el que más me gusta eres tú. Soy una niña muy inteligente.
Y pues sí, le puse unas baterías que tenía aquí en la casa. Como ven, son nuevas. La neta no creo que prenda, pero bueno, a ver, vamos a calarle. Puta, sí tengo miedo.
Hola, bienvenido al castillo de los sueños del espejo mágico.
Hola.
Hola, encantado de conocerte.
Gracias, amigo. Me da gusto.
Eres muy divertido. ¿Tienes una fiesta?
No, no tengo fiesta. ¿Tú tienes?
No sé. Cuando me levanté, te vi a ti.
¡Ay, vas a chingar a tu madre!
So, guys, what do you think? What do you think of this creepy toy?
Hola, bienvenido al castillo de los sueños del espejo mágico. ¿Cuál es tu nombre? Yo soy Jessie, la princesa
Shayla,
más bella del
up.
castillo de los sueños del espejo mágico. ¡Qué tierna
D Nice Ghost takes the batteries out to see if it responds.
Mejores amigas. ¿Tu personaje favorito? Si papá pregunta,
Daniel Ghost, don't let that Scientology rub off on you.
si mamá pregunta, yo responderé que la que más me gusta es mi mami. Y si tú me preguntas, te diré que el que más me gusta
Chris Barber goes
eres
creepy,
tú.
but I think it's a
Soy
setup.
una niña muy inteligente.
Y pues sí, le puse unas baterías que tenía aquí
Randy
en la
goes
casa.
for
Como ven, son
entertainment
nuevas.
purposes only.
La neta no creo que prenda, pero bueno, a ver, vamos a calarle. Puta, sí tengo miedo.
I mean, the second time the guy pulls it out of storage, he didn't really ask it too many questions, though.
Hola.
Tyranna goes sus.
Encantado de conocerte.
Gracias, amigo. Me da gusto.
Eres muy divertido. ¿Tienes una fiesta?
No, no tengo fiesta. ¿Tú tienes?
No sé. Cuando me levanté, te vi a ti.
¡Ay, vas a chingar a tu madre!
Pearl Jam goes an Alexa mirror. Wendy goes, why make a kid's toy like that? Julissa goes, fake. Randy goes, hoax. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that one because at first I was like, what are they talking about? Then I realized someone was asking it questions. Daniel Miles goes, it has Bluetooth and somebody can talk to it through the phone. Maybe. That looks like an old toy, though. It does. It looks like one of those old toys that takes batteries. But that's a possibility, Daniel. Daniel goes, modded. Wendy goes, I hope it's fake. Because that's creepy for a kid's toy. But some of those kids' toys back in the days were creepy looking. I don't know how they would think that was a kid's toy. Heather Salvador goes, don't care, might lead to this, but unplug it or just take the batteries out. All right, guys, Skeleduck. Skeleduck is right there. It's the tail end of Skeleduck. Right there. Oh, Heather Salvador wants to actually see it. Hold on. Give me a second. I knocked my drink over. Oh, no, I got it. I gotta clean that up. Alright, guys. It is. This is what Skeleduck looks like. For those of you that don't know what he looks like. For the next time when I hide him. Matthew goes, do it. I said, like to clown around. Heather Salvador goes, finally after 6 months. But this is what he looks like for those of you that don't know what he looks like. And I got the idea from D Nice to hide him in my studio. So I hide him. He's in a new location on every stream, except if I'm out on location. Obviously, I can't take him. But but that is what he looks like for the next time. He could be in very location. He could be like this. He could be like this. Chris Barber goes, I thought he was behind the pumpkin. D Nice didn't even bother to look there. No problem, Heather Salvatore. Heather whatever goes, he could ward off the Scientologist. Daniel did not find the duck again. But again, this is Skeleduck. He literally is a Skella rubber ducky. Matthew goes, all hell, Skella Xenu duck. Wendy goes, I thought he was behind the skeleton. No, D Nice. He's like, like what the skeletons are made out of. like a plastic, like a hard plastic. Chris Barber goes, it's that blue light for me. Everything looks the same. Yes, he could. For a tiny bit. As Heather whatever says, he could float. Daniel goes, I still say the duck needs painted fluorescent green or pink. Heather Salvador goes, go place some behind you for a minute. Shadow Toto's asking, were there many problems on the streets with the Scientologists? When we were there, they had, I guess the fire department had shown up for the business next to it. It might have been like a false alarm. And then the LAPD did show up for, I'm not sure what they showed up for, but there was 3 units that showed up. Can't remember what they showed up for. I know when we were there, not much was happening. When we left, though, I know streets of LA had some issues where a guy flicked a cigarette on him. And then DOA also, I don't know if that happened the same day we were there, if it happened before we got there, but DOA or the next day, but DOA got his phone. A guy was pissed off apparently of him filming him, and it was just a random dude just walking by and took his phone and started running down the street with it. Chris Berger goes, that shit is crazy. It is. Julissa goes, I saw that some guy flicked a lit cigarette on Streets. Yeah. And Streets was going crazy. Heather Salvatore, yes. Aaron was there. I saw him. They arrested the guy that took DOA's phone. Heather, whatever goes, Scientologists are grumpy. And I guess when we were there, Aja, she started going down the street because the bouncer, the guy guarding the door to the restaurant, he just left his post all of a sudden. So I started following because I didn't want to be there by myself. So I guess they were trying to see, because one of the other YouTubers was leaving, and when he got to his car, there was nails or something in his tire. Don't quote me because I'm not 100% sure. And so they were thinking, because he just went down, he went to the next street, the street adjacent to the restaurant, and he just left his post all of a sudden and just started walking down the street. And so Lewis and Aja started walking down the street, so I followed him. And it was super dark. Because they were thinking he was up to no good. Because why would, and which is it, I don't fault them for thinking that, because he just automatically just left his post. If he's guarding if he's bouncing, he's literally making sure who walks in and walks out of the door, why would you just leave your post? That was kind of weird. Jennifer Murray, what's up? Heather Salvatore goes, yes, that girl wants to go spooky things with you. And I had Mindy, and she kind of explained why they were what they were protesting for, and she wants to do spooky things with me. Shiloh goes like, a lot happened. I'm glad you got to meet someone. Yes, it was cool. I got to meet Chris without a Hellcat. He's half Korean like I am, so it was kind of cool. Though he looks more Asian than I do. He looks 100% Asian. Brandon, thank you for the super sticker. Hearts for Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. Got to see streets. It was kind of cool to see everybody. Like they are, as you see them on screen, they are the same in person. Got to meet LA Cam too as well, so I thought that was kind of cool. They look like they do in person because you know how some people look different in person than they do. They look completely different on TV than they do in person. They look exactly the same, so it was kind of cool. It was a cool experience. I was scared. I felt so uncomfortable. You guys probably knew it too because I was like, I don't know what to do. Let's point over here. Let's point over there. Because mostly I'm used to going to like filming conventions and you know, hiking or you know, or locations or whatever I may be. That's kind of what I, you know, film or, you know, take video of. I'm not used to being at a protest. I've never been at a protest, so that was like my very first one, so I did not know what to expect. And after seeing, I don't really watch their videos. I kind of vaguely watch them, so kind of the stuff that I did see kind of made me nervous to go there. Dusty goes, I saw you guys follow the bouncer. I thought he was going to pee the. Wendy goes, I was with you in spirit, Lisa. Jennifer Marie is asking, are you going to go back? I may go back. I'm not that scared not to go back, but the next time I don't think I'll be so like a fish out of water. I think I'll still kind of be like nervous, but probably not as much. Because I'm not much of a protester at all. But it's kind of cool to watch other people do their thing. I'm kind of like, if you think of it, I'm like a people watcher. Even when I go to a rave, I'm like a people. I like to look at like the surroundings and the people, listen, vibe off the music and watch the people and see the, you know, the DJs play, look at the, you know, the stage and how that's kind of like, I'm a people watcher. So I like seeing people do their thing. Wendy goes, now you know what to expect. Exactly, I do. Heather Salvatore goes, I think you need a bouncer. Yes, I do. I go. Jennifer Marie Lisa's always like, yes, that's kind of what I am. I'm a lurker. I'm a lurker. I kind of watch people, I kind of like document what people are doing. I guess that's what you could say. I'm kind of like that. But if I go again, I'll probably know what to expect. So I won't be so bad. Yeah, I'm not really a protester. Like if I go, I'm more like I'm supporting them, but I'm not like the protester. Like I support what they do. Like I have no problem with what they're doing. I'm not one like Shiloh Toto says, you're too nice to ever protest out loud. Yeah. Like I'm just not, that's just not me. Like I'll support other people for like what they do, but I just won't. I'm not vocal about it, I guess you could say. Jennifer Murray goes, if you see someone doing shady crap, just turn around and walk away. Minding your business will keep you safer. Yeah, that's kind of what I did. I kind of was like, I was in the corner, kind of just like, oh, like showing you the area type of thing and showing you what everyone was doing. That's kind of what I did. And I think I'll probably do more of that. Like last time I went, it's kind of was like, oh, let me follow Lewis. I don't want to be here by myself. But I think I now know, like, kind of, I could just watch people and stand and see what everyone's doing type of thing. Heather Salvatore going, Brandon and Bernadette watching your butt. Dusty goes, I'm a people watcher. Daniel goes, one of my first record albums was The Occasions. I'm a girl watcher. Bad spelling. Oh, I know that track. That's cool. Yeah, Brandon had to tell me the Celebrity Center was across the street. I didn't even know that until I went to the corner and go, oh, there's the sign. So, because I'll watch them here and there, but I don't really I don't really religiously watch them. So, but it's still kind of cool to see them in action and doing their thing. Shiloh Toto goes, that beautiful dog looked like an Airedale or maybe an Airedale mixed with a Greyhound. It looked like, I was thinking after I finished streaming that I was like, wait a minute. It's a Greyhound with long hair, so it might not necessarily be called a Greyhound. But it was a beautiful dog. I wanted to go pet it so bad. So it was a beautiful dog. Whenever I see an animal, I kind of gravitate to them. So you'll notice that too if I see a cute animal. And I guess earlier someone had a Chihuahua as well. Chris Barber goes, like an Afghan. Yeah. I don't know exactly the name of it. I just was like, oh, it's a beautiful dog. Chris Barber goes, like an Afghan hound. Heather Salvatore goes, yes, dogs are my weaknesses. Animals are my weakness. If I see any animal, I'll go up to it. D Nice goes, I want you to stay safe. I'm glad you got to meet everyone. They got your back. Aja, I got to meet Aja too, if you guys are familiar. She's super nice. Kind of glad I went. It was a experience. Wasn't a bad experience, which is cool. Cuz I had reservations. I was thinking I shouldn't have gone, but I'm kind of glad I did. Jennifer Marie goes, if you go back, I'll be watching. I know next time I'll be more I'll film a little better next time. It was just my first time there and I just felt really out of place. But I'll people watch. I know I kind of know where I could go and people watch. And and too, I kind of didn't like walking back and forth because if you saw like the distance right where that guard was, the bouncer was standing, and the sidewalk, it was very a small area. So it's like every time you passed by him, it was like you were in his personal space, and I did not trust him enough to be walking back and forth. It made me nervous. Thank you, Julissa, saying you did really well. Dusty Lane goes, Jessica tries to have a good time. Mindy is just all smiles. Wendy goes, you got this, Lisa. We got your back. Thank you. Heather Rutter goes, Jam. Yeah, you are. And plus, there was people standing on the edge of the sidewalk. So it was like trying to walk through. It was like very limited space. And you saw how one of those guys flicked a cigarette on street. So I mean, like that I didn't want anything, I didn't want something like that happening to me where someone grabs me or whatever it might be. So it was a little unsettling. When I was over on the side, it was better. Jennifer Marie goes, well, the tent needs to go so it doesn't feel like it's taking. That's what I was saying. That's why I was showing the tent too. Like I would go on the other side and go, here, look at the tent. Look at how much room it takes from the beginning of the building. D-Nice goes, I'd be tempted to just go on Google Maps to leave a review on that place, but it would be obvious. Yeah. I wouldn't. I think people are gonna go there regardless. I know there's some people that are gonna, like, find out because there are people that are genuinely curious when they come out, and they're nice about it. They'll be like, "Hey, why are you out here, guys?" And they, "Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry." Like, I heard one guy, before I started filming, he had come out of there he had come out of the restaurant, and he was talking to one of the protesters. He's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing out here?" Like, he was generally wanting to know what everyone's doing. So not all the people are bad that come out of there. Julissa goes, it does take out a lot of room and there are no tables in there. I saw it when you could kind of see there was like a table in there, but it doesn't take up that whole space. Like what I saw like 2 tables. When the guy opened, you can kind of see tables. And that could have been on the actual restaurant part. And there's people driving by like honking, going, Scientology's cult. So yeah, that was kind of cool. All right, guys, any last minute questions before I end this stream so I could get some rest, even though I've been resting all day, to be honest with you. Jennifer Marie goes, DOA's van look cool. It does. It looks cooler in person. It was super cool to see that in person. And DOA is kind of, he looks different in person. He's the one that I could say looks different in person than on screen. Dusty goes, the drive-bys are great. The honking. All right, guys, I am going to end the stream here. I will see you guys on the next one. I will probably pop up sometime during the week. Just keep an eye out on my socials. I do have a Patreon, guys. You can join for free. The link is pinned to the top of the chat if you haven't done so already. If you would like to support, there are also options to support and will be greatly appreciated. Again, I'll see you on the next one. I will probably pop in, I'm not sure what day, but keep an eye out on my socials. And I'll see you on the next one. Good night, guys, and stay spooky. Thank you for joining me tonight. You guys are awesome, as always. Good night, guys.